Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is my eyeshadow palette review for July. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. This video is going to be an overview of all the eyeshadow palettes that I tried in the month of July. And a lot of these are courtesy of my subscriber Kim, who sent me a lot of these, as well as a monolith order that I did earlier in the year. So there's some grungy things, there's some colorful things, there's some neutral things. So I hope a little bit for everyone. Before we get into the video, it may be good to know who I am and what I like doing on this channel. My name is Maaike, I live in the Netherlands. I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and this greatly influences how I feel about makeup. I have been reviewing makeup for more than a decade. I love trying out eyeshadow palettes, essences and catrice, and getting the use out of my makeup. So if that's something you're interested in, then I hope you'd like to consider subscribing. So in total, I tried 7 new to me eyeshadow palettes in the month of July. I will first show you what I bought myself. So this was an order I placed through Monolith, and it's 2 palettes by Klarity Cosmetics, the Mini Bloom and the Deadly Rose, and then I also have the Glaminatrix Sugar and Spice. So those will be featured in this video. And then the other 4 palettes were all sent to me by Kim, who's a subscriber of mine, who heard me mention that I would have loved to have tried the Biba palette from Natasha Denona, and that I didn't own it. And she was like, I have mine, I never use it, you can have it if you want. And I was like, I don't have to. And then she sent it to me anyway, because she had my address from a previous giveaway that she won. So she just sent it to me. So I got the Biba in here, which I'm super excited for. We have this super colorful number from Glamshop. It's in Polish, so I don't know what this is called, and I don't want to butcher it. So if anybody knows what this is called, someone did tell me in the comments when I bought it, but I have forgotten. And then the Sugarpill 10th Anniversary palette is in here, as well as the Moira Endless Moonlight. So let me start off by reviewing the palettes I got from Kim first, and then I'll do the monolith order towards the end. In this video you can find swatches, close-ups, as well as all the looks that I've done. I have used every single pan in every single one of these palettes to really have my thoughts ready for you. And there will be some links in the description box for any of these palettes if they are still available, so that if you want to shop from them, if you want to shop any of these, you can. Those will be affiliate links, and that means I could make a small commission if you choose to shop through them. Let's get to these palettes. Let's kick things off with the palette that got the whole thing started. This is the Natasha Denona Biba palette. This is a larger 15 pan palette, so this is the style she used to do. Now they just come in like half the size, and they're also half the price. This was one of the $125/130 palettes that she did, which is one of the reasons why I never picked it up, because this is so matte heavy, and there's just so few shimmers, and the shimmers we get in here aren't super exciting. So I was like, is that going to be worth it for me to be spending that much money on? And that's why I never got it. But Kim was like, hey, you can have mine. We do get some cooler tones here towards the bottom, and I definitely feel some of these reddish tones over on this side can pull a little bit more pink if you do have that cooler undertone. So that's why for me, this worked out pretty well. I think I managed to take pictures of 2 of the looks that I did. I think I forgot to capture one of them. But I definitely sort of stuck to the main vibes we get in here. I stuck to like the neutrally tones, I stuck to like these orange tones, and I stuck to these like reddish tones for the different looks I did. This is the Natasha Denona formula that I know I love. Great blendable mattes, really easy to use shimmers. But I definitely can tell that this is like an older Natasha Denona palette, whereas the newer ones all have something like interesting to them. They have different textures, and just overall a very good balance between mattes and shimmers. And I don't feel we get that here. There are only 3 shimmers, I think. Yes, there's only 3 shimmers. 1, 2, and then here is the bronze. The bronze is beautiful. I think it's one of the best shades in this palette, but both of these lighter ones are a little bit too dark for me, and they therefore don't really highlight anything that I would want to highlight. And that's one of the issues I have with this palette, is how mid-toned it is. It doesn't have a really good contrast between light and dark, in my opinion. in my opinion. The lightest shades in here aren't light enough, so everything pulls very mid-tone on me, and I don't always want to use a black to contrast something, so I feel there's just too much going on here that is a little bit samey. Do I like this? Yes, it's Natasha Denona eyeshadow, and it's one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas, so I did really enjoy the looks I ended up doing with it, but I can definitely see why it was limited, so I'm very grateful for Kim to be sending this to me, but I'm glad I didn't put my own money towards it. The other neutral palette that she sent me was the Moira Endless Moonlight, and she knows my channel and my content so well because this palette was low-key on a wish list for a little while, but then I was going back and forth and I couldn't really decide what palette from Moira I wanted to try, so I never really bit the bullet on any of them. But this was definitely a contender, and just because there's just so many Moira palettes, I couldn't choose. But this was definitely one that I was eyeing up. I don't love the chunky packaging. This could have easily been half the size, so I don't know why this looks like a book, because it definitely feels like it. And I feel it's very Natasha Denona Biba-esque, but with more cool tones. So I definitely feel we get some really good true cool tones in like half the palette, and then the other half is like warmer tone neutrals. That's the way I feel about them. It definitely is more neutral than the Natasha Denona Biba. It's not as orange heavy. I really feel that the only orange tones we're getting is like these two here, which is really not that much of an issue. We also get more shimmers in here. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of a 15 pan palette. These are really cute, really easy to use. You can definitely tell, though, I feel that this palette is a little bit more affordable than something like the Natasha Denona is. You can definitely sort of feel the price point as you're using it. Does that make the eyeshadow bad? Not at all. This is good formula eyeshadow for sure, but I just feel I need to build a little bit more often. The shimmers don't go on as vibrant straight away as I'd like it to. And I definitely also feel that in the shimmer department, we don't really get anything too exciting. It's all like pretty satin leaning. So nothing here is truly, I feel, like standing out. And again, like with the Natasha Denona, the shimmers we do get aren't very light. We get a lot of like deeper and like very mid-tone heavy sort of shimmers in here. And that just makes it a little bit more limiting for me. I do really appreciate the crease shades we're getting in here. This is lovely. This is lovely. This gray is lovely. So you can very easily like set up 3 to 4 different looks with this, depending on what vibe you want to go for. Do you want to go more warm toned? You use one of the more warm toned crease shades. Do you want something more cool toned? You go for something that's a bit more cool toned. I definitely feel this has a really nice blend of things, and I really appreciate having the opportunity to try this for sure. But I now know I don't need to like run out and get more Moira eyeshadow palettes. I think I'll stick to the singles because I really feel they do really interesting things. This is good for the price point, but I don't think I would have loved this as much as when I would have put my own money towards it. I definitely think that because I now got to try it, because someone gifted it to me, I definitely feel like, oh, I really appreciate how thoughtful she was for sending a color story my way that very much is up my street. But I just feel quality-wise, if I would have put my own money towards this, I don't think I would have fully loved my purchase that way. So therefore, the Moira Endless Moonlight is a good palette. I definitely don't want to knock it. If you love affordable makeup, or if your budget just doesn't allow you to buy more expensive things, I think this is still good eyeshadow for the price point. That's the way I do feel about it, but I just have personally better things in my collection. Another thing Kim sent my way was the 10th anniversary palette from Sugarpill. I haven't tried much Sugarpill eyeshadow. The only thing I've really tried is their fun size palette, and that wasn't like everyone's favorite. I quite liked mine, but I feel I have those kind of colorful shades in other palettes, so I decluttered that. I, for the longest time back in the day, really wanted the singles from Sugarpill, but then they started changing the colors and the formulas, and then I just felt it wasn't the same anymore to me, and Sugarpill is pretty difficult to get for me. So I'm really glad I got to try some more Sugarpill. The Capsule palettes weren't really up my radar, because if you look at this color story and you know what I like, then A, this is not really my color story, but also this layout is just giving me a headache. I like the concept of it, I definitely do, and I was able to pull 2 really stunning looks out of it. I did a look with these like purplies with the blue as an accent color, and then I did like the peaches with the greens, because I thought that was like a nice juxtaposition. This I believe you can use as a blush as well, but I just use it as eyeshadow. I'm like, might as well just rope it in with these peachy pinks, and then contrasting that with the green. And those 2 looks were really nice, soft, colorful looks that worked really well. I like the quality of these. They were very blendable and easy to use shadows. But like with the Biba and the Moira, I feel that the shimmers in here are a little bit lacking. It's just not really exciting. You can again definitely tell that this is like an older palette, because shimmer-wise, we're really just getting satins. Nothing in here is flippy, nothing in here is shimmery. It's just a little bit satin heavy, and I by now just really preferred if my palettes give me options in the shimmer category, especially. So that's why the Sugarpill 10th anniversary, I'm really glad I got to try some more Sugarpill, but again, not something I would have put my own money towards. So the next palette was the most successful one that Kim sent me, and it was the Glamshop palette. This is a very colorful palette. Again, I don't know the name, and if you're unfamiliar with Glamshop, then just know they're Polish, they're an indie brand, and especially if you're in the EU, they tend to be one of the more affordable options for trying indie makeup. I have loved pretty much every single palette I have bought from them myself. So to get this really colorful number, and the reason why I'm having to hold it like this is because one shade just keeps crumbling, and it's that purple flaky thing here. You can just see it's all over the place. So I'm trying to be very, very careful. You're just gonna have to look at the close-up images for this one. But I did 3 looks with this. I did like a neutral look with the blues, and then this one with the greens and one with the pinks and purples. The green look was the least successful for me, because I felt that the green shimmer, like Rococo, I think it's called, this shade right here in the bottom, it looks like it's going to have a green undertone, but then on my skin, it just didn't. It completely disappeared, so it didn't really go with the green I felt of the neon green. The neon green was a little bit sheer, a little bit patchy, but all of the other colorful shades were really nice. I like the other 2 looks I did with it for sure. You get some neutral options, so something I would still like to do is to use the neutrals with that pop of green on the lower lash line. I think that will be pretty. The pink in here is very, very pigmented and very difficult to remove. It's one of those pink pigments that stains your lids, so that may be something that's good to know. Bright pinks like this have a tendency to do that. No matter what brand you try, these sort of pinks will stain your lids. That's why I always use a paint pot on top of a regular primer, is to prevent any sort of staining if I'm using like vibrant or very deep things like I'm doing today, and it usually works. These shades were really lovely. Just a shame that one shade just keeps crumbling no matter how much I press it back in. It came a little bit crumbled when the package was sent my way, and now it still keeps crumbling. So that's a bit of a shame. But yeah, it's a pretty palette, and it was definitely a little bit unexpected for me how much I ended up liking it, because I'm usually not really into the super vibrant, colorful things. And this was a vibrant, colorful palette that when I was using it was less vibrant and colorful in terms of usage than it looks in the pan. I definitely feel it because of that bright pop of neon green. It looks a lot more intimidating than it actually is. So I really appreciated the Glamshop palettes. So thank you again to Kim for sending these palettes my way. I like all of these enough. I will definitely be continuing using these because I enjoy all of them for sure. Which brings me to the second half of this review, which is the things I did purchase myself. And one of these is on my lids today. I think you can guess a little bit which one it might be. Let's start with the lightest and the most neutral option. This is the Glaminatrix Sugar and Spice. And this is one that I didn't think I was gonna like at first. When I first eyed this up in my new makeup releases, I was like, really? And then I saw more and more people featuring this in their eyeshadow palette collections in the springtime, which is when I was watching those. I just binge watched a bunch of eyeshadow palette collections. That tends to be my comfort zone. Like once every couple of months, I just go on a huge spiral and I watch nothing but eyeshadow palette collections. Am I the only person who does that? Let me know in a comment down below. But yeah, the Glaminatrix Sugar and Spice is one that I really, really enjoyed and was very much surprised by, because Glaminatrix has been a little bit hit and miss for me, and I just wanted to try the brand again to see if I liked it. This palette is quite unique. It's got a full row of neutral mattes in the middle, then we get a full row of pastels in the bottom row, and a full row of duochromes and multichrome shimmer in the top row. The one thing I dislike about the palette is the pan size. For me, they don't have to be that big, but these are like ColourPop sized. You know, if you got a ColourPop palette, it's like the smaller, like dime sized. So these are smaller, I feel, than the other eyeshadows I've tried from the brand. It could be because they do some multichromes in here. Those tend to be more expensive to make. So maybe they just made smaller pans to keep the cost down. That's what I'm hoping. But I really appreciate the color story. I did 3 looks with this. The first look I did was like with these yellows over here, and they were really pretty. It was very sort of a little Easter-like perhaps for July, but I really like the look that came out, especially this like white, but that it flashes like really nice gold green, really pretty. That really made the look. And then I think I did a full look with nothing but like neutral shades with these ones, and I think these 2, if I'm not mistaken, which was really pretty as well. Especially love that shimmer here. I'm not a lover of golds, but that was really pretty. And then I used these like pastel purples and greens with this multichrome here. You can see it in the mirror. It looks purpley pink in the pan, but then it has a gold to green flip when the light hits it. It was really pretty, a really stunning look. These blended really nicely, and I really think that this is one of the better palettes that Glaminatrix has come out with. Which brings me to what's on my face today. This is the Bloom from Klarity Cosmetics. This is my first time trying the brand. This was a brand I had been eyeing up for a while, but because it was US only and I wasn't sure what the quality was like, I wasn't sure I was gonna love it. They also used to do really big palettes. Now this one in particular, I believe has been discontinued. I was able to find it on Monolith, and it was one of the color stories that Klarity did that definitely stood out to me, because it's essentially blue, greens, and purples, which is one of my favorite vibes, but it's dark. Let me preface this by saying, this is dark. I mean, I'm wearing one of the looks, like I'm wearing these 5 shades on my eyes today, and I definitely think this is going to be really, really great for people with deeper skin tone than mine. Especially like medium to deep, I think you're gonna love this. If you have a warm undertone, you're gonna love this. On me, I felt the shades didn't pull the way I'd want them to. So the purples are all pretty pinky, warm tone purples, which on my complexion isn't always the best. I was able to make it work. It looked pretty, but I definitely felt that I think I went in with this matte for the first look, and today I'm wearing this green on like as a crease shade, and I definitely had issues blending these. They were very patchy. They gripped to my eye wherever I put my brush down, and then I really had to work hard to get it to blend. I actually used the trick of using your face powder to blend your shadow, because that's how difficult of a time I had blending some of these mattes. So I feel the crease shade in this look, in both of the looks I did, not great. Patchy, not good, more pigmentation in on one side of the eye than on the other, and I just couldn't fix it without going full throttle and adding more shadow, which was not what I wanted to do, because I wanted to keep it sheer because it was a crease shade. I also feel that this green, and also the green that's next to it, yes, that's green on my eyes. On me, they pull blue. And the things that I thought were going to be more teal leaning were actual blues, like bright, bright blues. So those are on the lower lash line. So for me, I think there's just something in my undertone that makes this not pull the way I'd like it to. So that's not a fault of the palette, that's just me interacting with the palette, and then my makeup preferences that go into this. But yeah, I do think it's really lovely, really saturated shadows. but I definitely have shadows that I don't have to work this hard for, and also some of these shimmers aren't super exciting. I mean, this one is pretty. It's what's in my inner corner, and I sort of have it like blended up towards the top of my brow. That was pretty, but these two are just a bit too similar for a 10 pan, I feel. So for me, the palette is a little bit limiting. I think if I had darker skin, I would have liked this better because it would have looked a lot better on me. And finally, we have the Klarity Deadly Rose palette. This is really stunning. It's again really dark, grungy vibes, but with this, I felt I could blend it a little bit better, so maybe this is just a newer formula that they're doing, because this was released this year and the bloom has been around for a while. Not sure how long they've been doing the mini bloom, but I do think that Klarity is currently really making its way through their collection and reformulating and re-releasing things. So I'm thinking if the mini bloom ever comes back, that the formula may be a little bit better, because I definitely did like this a little bit better than I did the other one. It's a very dark, grungy color story, but in here I at least get a crease shade that works for me. So that makes all the difference. The reds in here are stunning. This taupe was weird. When I stuck my brush in, I simply broke the eyeshadow and I had to press it back in after use. I've never used eyeshadow that does that, where I dip my brush in, and I'm gentle with my eyeshadows. There's a reason why I'm not likely to hit pan very easily with my shadows, because I use such a light hand. But when I put a brush into this, there were flakes everywhere, and I had to go in with a lipstick to repress it back into the pan, which, like I said, I've never done. This was equally messy. This is very shimmer heavy, but it's so pretty. I like how we get slightly like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 9 pan, so we have 4 mattes, 5 shimmers. I like that. I think the shimmers in here are really pretty. I really enjoy this color story. So for me, this was a little bit more successful than the mini bloom. So I'm definitely having my hopes up for Klarity in the future. If they keep reformulating things, they may be doing slightly better things than these like older things they used to do. So those are all of the eyeshadow palettes I wanted to show you in today's video. Thank you so very much for joining me here today. Leave a comment down below what your recent eyeshadow trial was. I would love to know. So thank you so very much for joining me. Thumbs up this video and subscribe. I will be doing eyeshadow palette month in the month of August, so I hope you'd like to stay tuned for that. For now, I hope you have a great day. Bye bye, take care.